What's up, y'all? Serrano786 here for a Tears of the Kingdom Legend of Zelda Temple boss guide. We're going to be running through the Wind Temple, Fire Temple, Water Temple, and Lightning Temple. Not in that specific order, but we're going to be running through all the temples. Boss guide to help you out in case you're having trouble with some of the mechanics. Honestly, only really one of these I had trouble with, which is the Gerudo temple, but we'll leave that one for last because everything else is pretty easy. I one-shotted them all except for the lightning. It took me a few tries. But if you're new to the channel, you know what to do. Hit that like, subscribe button. Let me know you enjoy the content, the little notifications. I appreciate you coming to check out this video. All right, let's hop to it. So I do want to say this starting out that I was pretty ill prepared for this fight. I would, in retrospect, probably have more arrows, definitely more splash fruit, but I ended up using some ingenuity and ended up using a fire hydrant or a hydrant to use water to wash away the slime. Mucktorok is the water temple boss. His main mechanic is he's going to be going around the arena, putting these little like oil slash spots on the ground, and then he's going to be riding around on this like shark barracuda looking thing. If you wash him with water while he's in that animal form, you will knock him out of that, and then it will be Mucktorok by himself, and then you can do damage. You do this about 4 times, I believe. Well, depending on the DPS, you could probably do it quicker depending on how strong you are. This was the first temple for me, so I wasn't super strong. It took me 4 phases. Yeah, definitely have some splash fruit. If not, you can use a hydrant. Out of the 4, I would definitely say this is the second easiest, coming in right behind the fire temple. But yeah, one shot of this boss wasn't super hard. Again, if you have any problems, use splash fruit. That's really the main mechanic here. Next up from the Fire Temple, we have the Marbled Gohma. This boss, probably the easiest in my opinion. Really only have to utilize your Goron special ability from your ally, and then you have a DPS phase. Main mechanic here, you see the legs here. You're basically going to destroy 2 of those. His body will drop down, and you'll get a DPS phase, in which case you'll jump on top, climb up, damage the eye, for however long the DPS phase. Again, depending on how quick you are, how strong you are, you can 2 phase, 3 phase, 4 phase. I believe this took me 4 phases. You definitely want to use your highest power weapon. I used my 2-hander and just did my power move, which is just a swirly attack that just keeps attacking over and over and over again. But yeah, wasn't super hard. Honestly, the easiest in my opinion. But yeah, pretty simple mechanics for the most part. Then from the Wind Temple, we have Colgera. Now, this fight is completely done in the air. Don't worry. Every single time you use your paraglider, you'll get your stamina back. So it's not something where you have to worry about your stamina management. But most of the fight revolves around you gliding above Colgera, waiting for an opportunity to attack one of his 3 weak spots. As you can see, these spiked areas on his back. After a certain amount of time elapses, he'll start to shoot the rock pieces from that spot, and eventually leaving a weak spot open for you to either shoot with your bow. You can lunge down with your weapon. I found the bow to be a little bit easier. It is easier to break with a weapon, just one shot. Matter of preference here. After you damage one of his weak spots, he'll do this attack where he comes up from the bottom and then just shoots straight up. You'll want to air dash to the side, preferably on the side where his weak spots are at, because you'll have another opportunity to damage one, if not both of his weak spots as he starts to fly up. If you just pull out your bow as you're attacking, it'll do the bullet time. I forget what it's called here, but the slowdown time. You should be able to get at least 1. You can do 2 if you're quick enough. That's pretty much it for the fight, though. Other than just flying around and avoiding, it's just hitting the weak spots. I found this to be the 3rd most difficult, mainly because whenever he starts to shoot his little like rock spikes at you, they kind of are like don't want to say random, but they are random of where he shoots them, so it's a little hard to dodge them when you're trying to attack from above. I would definitely say out of the 2 different attacks he does, this one right here is probably the easiest to attack. I actually ended up getting 2 weak spots, this one right here. What you want to do is if you run out of stamina, just pop your paraglider again. And then I was able to catch the second one. And actually on my second phase was able to kill him in just 1 round of attacks. That's how you do it, baby. Now this Lightning Temple boss definitely was the hardest in my opinion. It took me several tries to figure out the best way to do this. Now this is just what worked for me. This may not work for you. But I definitely wanted to take the time on this one because there's several things going on here with Queen Gibdo of the Lightning Temple. So Queen Gibdo has a few attacks, some that will basically almost one-shot you depending on your defense, depending on how many hearts you have. It almost one-shotted me every single time when I didn't have full hearts. Definitely come prepared for this fight. Bring plenty of food. Bring plenty of shock attachments for your arrows. If you can, shock fruits are really good here. Bring a really nice high power bow and hopefully have a little bit of stamina because there's a lot of running around this. Basically, Queen Gibdo has a few attacks. There's a beam attack, which again can almost one-shot you. He will periodically shoot out these tornadoes that kind of fan out. I found best to just run left or right of those. That's pretty much it for the first phase. You're going to be utilizing your Gerudo ally ability all the time. That's what's going to allow you to do massive shock damage. So definitely be the most prepared for this fight than any other. Make sure you have food, as many shock fruit as you can. Anything else that can do shock damage is really good for this bot. But once you do enough damage to Queen Gibdo, there will be a DPS window where you can go up and do damage to Queen Gibdo. Same thing, depending on how much damage you can push out, you could potentially do this in fewer rounds, but it took me about 4 rounds. I definitely could have been more prepared, I will say. I ended up running through a lot of apples and just bare bones, like health items. I definitely would have cooked more, try to get more shock fruit. That's pretty much it for the first phase. The second phase is where it starts to get a bit more crazy. For the second phase, it pretty much takes all of the same attacks. That doesn't really change. He just does them a little bit more aggressively. I feel like the tornadoes moved a lot quicker. But on top of that, you have 4 hives around the room that are going to be constantly spawning Gibdo. Now, the first few attempts, actually all of the attempts besides this last one, I tried to destroy the hive nodes, and what that ended up doing is that left a lot more opportunity for the boss to do damage to me. And so I pretty much died every single time at some point because I was more focused on killing the hive nodes versus doing damage to Queen Gibdo. Now, again, depending on what armor you have, what you have going on, this may not be as much of an issue to you. But for me, not coming the most prepared, and actually not prepared at all, I definitely found this to be the best way to do this. So I was constantly running in basically a huge circle around the room, just following the wall essentially, and just kept running around in a circle because these mobs, these Gibdo, there's a combination of crawly ones, there's flying ones, and they are just unrelenting. So you're just constantly running, trying to stay out of them, trying to proc your ally to do lightning and do damage enough so you can go up and do damage to the boss. Did this probably 2 times, so it was a total of 4 phases for me. Definitely, I would have probably tried to get a really strong weapon and attach lightning to it for extra damage because he's weak against lightning. But yeah, this was a tough fight. I definitely had the most trouble with this. Every other boss I have one-shotted. This one took me 4 to 5 tries. But again, this may not even be an issue for you if you're really decked out. But as you can see, I wasn't super strong, didn't have a whole lot of hearts. But yeah, hopefully this guide helps. Hope you enjoy this. As always, stay spicy out there, and I will catch y'all on the next one. Later, y'all.